Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Call this meeting to order. May we stand for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, would you please do the roll call?
Yes. Commissioner Phillips,
Here.
Commissioner Larry,
Here.
Commissioner Ken. Here. Commissioner Randy. Here. Commissioner Doug, here.
May I declare a quorum? Y'all have had a chance to look over the agenda. Can we get a motion for approval?
I move that we approve the agenda for today.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? I will say this, there's a couple of items on the agenda that we're going to have to table due to the weather that we've had. We have not been able to get those done, but we'll discuss those when we get to them, okay?
Your way.
I bet they can hear me anyway. Okay, we have a motion, no discussion. Okay, all right, I've just got informed since we are going to have to amend the agenda that we need to make a motion to do an amendment to it. And the thing that I'm talking about is the last one, which is the resolution concerning the street signs. We have, due to the weather, we haven't had a chance to get out and check those. And what we're in the process of doing, we have a great many of them that are yield signs that need to be stop signs. And so we need to change those. And it's a matter of, we got them all listed. Anyway, we need to amend that.
Yeah, that's in old business.
Yes. And yeah, it is in old business. So we need to table that for right now. And
I move that we table old business item number 2 regarding the street signs.
okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good, thank you. We need to vote on approval of the agenda.
We did that one.
We did.
Minutes.
Did we approve that? We had a second, first, motion and second, all in favor?
I'll second. Aye.
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 Okay.
Sorry, got way late.
Now, have you all seen the minutes of the meetings of 1/4, 1/11, and 1/23, special meeting?
Yes.
I move that we approve those 3 minutes as printed.
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Ceremonial. You got anything for that? Announcements. Al, Selick, you have an announcement to make?
Yes, sir. Also at 22 Buckskin Lane, actually representing the Elks Lodge today. I just wanted to remind everybody that we have a community blood drive coming up next Monday, from 11 to 4 at the Elks Lodge, and you do not need to be a member of the Elks Lodge to come and donate blood. So thank you, we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you.
Does somebody want to talk about the phone books being available? Is there anybody here with hi-ha? Monica,
Yes.
please. I think everybody probably saw that, but it doesn't hurt to.
Monica Kidwell, 44
Thank you.
Local Drive. Yes, the phone books are available. We will have a drive from 1 to 3 Wednesday at the country club in the parking lot. So
$20.
$20 for the phone book and membership. If you don't want to become a member, it's just $10 for a phone book.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Reports. It says none.
Oh, comments you skipped.
Oh, public comments. Limit for 3 minutes.
Oh, did we get the sheet?
I did not get the sheet. Thank you, Randy. Sir? Steve, do you have some comments you'd like to make?
I'd like to wait till after the new business is discussed.
Okay. Suzanne?
New business.
Rebecca Sherman? Ms. Sherman, do you,
Yes, not under public comment, no. I have 3 slots listed there.
okay. And Linda Graves, maybe? Okay, all right, moving right along. All right, reports, there's none of that. Old business. Receive and approve the November 23 financial statements.
I move that we receive the November 2023 financials for approval.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Second.
Any discussion?
Discussion. Yeah, Mr. Chairman, since Jennifer's here, we appreciate you being here to look at those and tell us anything you might find, since it was the last month of the year. Would you like to comment on what our trends are, or anything that you see that would be interesting to the audience or board? With the mic.
Those were the November ones, which I think y'all had for a while. We are in the process of closing the December ones out.
Yeah, there you go.
Jeez.
A little closer.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me now? And the December ones will be available on the December ones will be available next board meeting, because we are in the process of doing our yearly end audit, year-end adjusting entries and all of that kind of stuff. Carrie is, I believe, already got the W-2s out. We're working on getting the 1099s out by tomorrow, I believe. So once that's done, we'll finalize everything in December, so that those will be presented along with the January financials at the February meeting.
Are you fairly pleased with the way that things are going between you and the staff and getting things done every month?
Yes, they are getting everything to me in a very timely manner, so that I am able to present the financials to y'all each month, or at the following board. So there shouldn't be any issues with that.
And then we have John here from Landmark. Was your firm involved with him, with his firm, as far as the audit?
Yes, I do work with his accountant on staff. Gaines is the one assigned to us. So back in the summer, he is the one, and he's very familiar with enterprise accounting, with industrial districts and everything. And the audit came out as expected. There were no surprises, no audit findings or anything from the financials that I have been presenting to y'all each month.
Thank you. I think it's important that we appreciate and understand how things appreciate you being here today as
Thank
well.
you. And if y'all have any questions, please reach out to me, because I know Mr. Randy spent a while this morning just going over and had a lot of questions and everything that I believe I was able to answer. So if y'all ever see anything, please reach out and I will get to you and explain.
Thank you, Jennifer. You've been very helpful for me. I appreciate it very much. Okay.
Now, this is where I had a question.
Okay.
So Jennifer, I saw the financials that are probably known in front of everybody. And then I have this question. You sort of gave an answer that you will be doing December's by the next board meeting.
Correct.
And also the year-to-date by the next board meeting?
Correct. You always get,
And then here's my big question. When all is said and done, like year-to-date, Who does that get turned into besides this board? Like, do you present it to the state, to the county?
My responsibility is only to HICID and to the board. So when I finalize the books and everything, and normally it is you get the financials the following month. However, with December, because it is not only a quarter end, it is also a year end. There is a lot more that goes into trying to close the books and to get the required reports out as far as W-2s, 1099s, and things like that, that it does take a little bit longer, and we take that extra, week or so in order to ensure the accuracy of the financials and the data that is presented to the financials. That's why that's the only month that you'll see a gap in,
Okay.
because of the beginning of the year. So in February, you will not only see the December, where you can look at the December, and you'll be able to see not only the balance sheet, but the P&L, the expenses and everything, to see where the year went. You will also see where we load the budget into the 2024, and you'll be able to see where you are at the beginning of 2024 through January at your February meeting.
Okay, I understood that.
Yes,
Thank you. So you don't actually have the answer to my question.
I think I can answer your question. The audited financial statements will be filed with Carroll County.
Carroll County, thank you.
Getting to the new business?
No, we need to,
I guess we need to approve the financials. We didn't do that, did we?
I'll make a motion to approve the financial.
November financials. Second, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye.
New business. We have with us today Mr. John Evans, Landmark CPA firm, for the presentation of the 2022 audit. Mr. Evans, welcome.
Thank you, Chairman Stantz. I'm pleased to present the 22 financial audit to you. Just go over a few things and then we'll see if there's any questions.
Thank you.
As Jennifer pointed out, back in the summer, Gaines, one of the CPA, or one of the accounts with our firm, did the field work for the audit, and I just want to point out that there have been some delays. I want to make sure that the commission, ISA, know that those delays were on our end, and not on staff, on the ISID staff's end of things, and we had some turnover and some staffing issues, and anyway, so I apologize for those delays, but just wanted to point out that we had full cooperation from Jennifer, Terry, and Danny when he was here, and the other staff. The results of the audit, there's actually two audit reports. One is on the financial statements themselves. It's a clean, unqualified opinion on the financial statements, that they are fairly presented in all material respects. I would like, in the audit report, there is an emphasis of matter. There's a new accounting standard issued that was implemented for the year 22 related to leases. And Government Accounting Standards Board, GASB, issues accounting pronouncements for governmental entities. And the GASB issued this lease standard that requires leases that meet certain qualifications to be, even if they're operating leases, and you're not going to take ownership of the equipment or that type of thing, to show up on the balance sheet on the asset and also as a liability. The asset and liability pretty much offset each other, but it is something new that you haven't seen before that did apply to the 22 year. Other than that, there were no issues or findings. Also, because you're a governmental entity, there's a report that we do on internal control and on compliance with laws and regulations. And I'm pleased to report that in our work there were no findings as well. I don't want to go over the numbers too much because you've had the numbers for a while, but let me just point out a couple of things on the statement of activities or revenues and expenses. For the year 22, net operating income before depreciation and amortization was about 1.1 million, 6 million. After amortization, which relates to that lease standard, and also after depreciation, the net operating income is a loss of $176,000 for 22, and compared to $390,000 of net operating income for 21. Other non-operating revenues and expenses during the year, there was a cell phone tower or a tower income. So there was a gain there, $791,000. So for the year, the net income was $562,000 compared to $300,000 for the year 21. We look at another one of the reports is the statement of cash flows. And if we look at net cash from operating activities, which adds back in depreciation and that kind of thing, your net cash from operating activities for 22 was $903,000 compared to about $1,174,000 for the year 2021. So, as Jennifer pointed out, there weren't, there was a few minor adjustments that we made or proposed during the course of the audit. Some related to the new lease standard, and Jennifer now has the work papers to put that entry going forward. So overall, from our perspective, it was a good audit. So I'd be glad to take any questions you might have.
Don, thank you for being here, and I'm glad you didn't have to go through the ice storm last month.
I appreciate that.
I went out to let my dogs out, and I just about took a 360, so I was glad you didn't have to drive. Going to what you mentioned about the delays, is there any possibility that we could, because of those delays, getting our report January 29th instead of October or November, could we get in the queue earlier next year for HISIT to be one of your mid-year kind of reports?
Yeah, and it's really, the field work was scheduled timely enough to accomplish that.
Okay.
And it's just well, frankly, I tried to delegate some of the review of that, and it didn't work out. But yeah, with the field work in June or July, I think we should be able to present the report, August or September.
Okay, good. Because that's just before the start of the 25 budget.
Correct.
And with 2 new board members, it would really be helpful to find if we need to change anything or where we're looking at little weaknesses or whatever. So I appreciate that, Thomas.
How long have you been doing our audits, your firm? How long have we been in business together?
Even before I was a partner.
Many years.
Let's say, mid-80s.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know if there was a gap in there at some point or not, but I know that we worked on it back then.
I knew we had a good, long-standing relationship, and I just wanted to ask you for sure.
Yeah, and we rotate, well, it's kind of naturally because of turnover, but we rotate staff that work on the job so that there's different eyes, on the ground here, in the office looking at things during the course of the year.
And I know Jennifer speaks very highly of working with Gaines. They have a good relationship, and I think that's important.
And we anticipate Gaines would be the staff on the job again.
Good, good. That's all I needed, thank you.
John, I have one more question. A year or two ago, I asked when I was on the board of whether your firm did point-of-sale audits, mainly the pro shop at the 18-hole and the 9-hole over here, plus the marina. Were those part of your charge?
We, did we do an in-depth audit on those things? No. Did we gain, what we're required to do is gain an understanding of controls, including controls in those areas. And then we did walkthroughs to make sure the controls as described to us are what's actually happening. So we did that, but nothing in depth.
I have no questions about it. I was just wondering, quite a bit of money goes through, especially in marina and 18-hole. And I wonder if that's something we need to look at, or again, not that I'm suspecting anything, but about every month in the Arkansas Democrat Gazette, I see something about 20,000, 80,000, 50,000 missing from somewhere, you know. Pet clubs, county treasurer, police chief's office, whatever. And again, I just think we're okay, but I wanted to ask you about that.
Yeah, we look at, one of the things we look at in deciding what we audit, in-depth and less in-depth is materiality. But we also look at rotating some of the areas that we focus on.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be part of it. Here we might want to, just on a rotational basis, look at that a little closer.
Last question, I guess, is when we make a budget, and most of us are unfamiliar with this type of budget, but let's say we have $1 million in salaries. I'm just going to pick out something out of the $4.7 million budget, and we spend $1.2 million. We go over the budget. Is that proper as long as the board approves that as the budgets go along during the year?
Probably should amend your budget, to reflect that.
Budgets
There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. The board should approve it.
Thank you.
Any additional questions? We thank you very much.
Here's my questions. So Landmark, how many other government entities do?
We do, I don't have a number for you, but a lot.
Okay.
Through our offices, we have offices in Rogers, Portsmouth, and local. A lot of government audits. School districts, we do City of Rogers, City of Silent Springs.
Okay. That's a good enough number. And so then I sort of have the same question for you as I asked Jennifer. So doing an audit for a government entity, you have to report it to some place higher, like it's expressed that I said about the audit.
No, I mean, our responsibility is to the board, to do the audit for the board, and it's up to the board to distribute it.
And so do you also present that to the county? The audit?
Yes.
That's what he was referring to,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
You do them both?
It is recorded with the county clerk. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Okay, next action is to
No,
consider.
we need to act on that.
Oh, we need, yeah, we do.
I move that we accept the 2022 audit report as just presented.
You'll hear a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you very
John.
much.
Be careful when you travel.
All right, thank you.
Consideration to discuss the CD bids that were opened on the 19th. But anyway, we did go out for bids for an additional $50,000 CD, and we got 2 bids back, one from Equity Bank and the other one from CS Bank. And they were right there. There's not that much difference in the two. We have, the majority of our CDs, I believe, are with Equity Bank. Is that correct, Sherry?
Yes.
And anytime that you go over $250,000, that is guaranteed by the FDIC, they have to pledge bonds to make up for that difference. In other words, the banking industry has to go out and buy bonds, have those bonds on hand to guarantee the funds. So it's not like if we got $1.5 million in there, that we're gonna lose $1,250,000 of it if the bank goes south. They have bonds that cover that difference, okay? And with that being said, with the amount being absolutely minute difference, I think that we probably should place the bond with, or that CD with CS Bank.
What was the rate and what was the term?
I don't have, do you have?
I have.
Right.
Yeah, they lost some money from us. Make it just a hair bigger. There we go. Thank you.
What length are we looking at, Larry?
Equity.
12 months?
I think we ought to leave it at the 6-month rate for a 6-month period, because we do have capital assets that need to be purchased, and it needs to come out of that equipment fund where this money went from. With that being said, we have I have looked at changing some of the golf course equipment things around. We're not buying any electric greens mowers. We are going to take care of what we got. We're going to update what we have on hand and do that. As far as the spray rig that was out of sight, I have approached the 2 bidders. We got 2 bids on that, one from John Deere, the other from Kansas Equipment Company. And they have each bid a used Cushman carry and a new sprayer. And that took the bid down to around $17,000, which is palatable.
Yeah, that's the next
But
item.
that's the next
Yeah,
item, but anyway.
let's-
Let me run this,
I'm
okay?
sorry. Yes, I apologize.
What we have done is that $50,000, the reason I suggest that we leave it at a 6-month increment is we have additional equipment to buy. And it should be coming out of the equipment reserve to purchase those. But other than that, that's all I have to say about that. Anyway, do I have a motion?
May I bring something up,
Yes.
please? Jennifer had emailed us earlier, even last year, about the reason we're purchasing this $50,000 CD. And she was asking our agreement to reclassify the $140,000 in the equipment reserve to reduce it to the $100,000 minimum required for the equipment reserve, which would free up the $50,000 cash and add that to another CD that would fulfill our requirements for the equipment reserve. And the other choice she offered was to take $195,000 all out of the money market account. And I think we pretty much agreed in the previous board to do number 1, which was reclassify the CDs to just the $100,000 level. Is that correct?
My memory has lapsed. I have trouble remembering
It's
what
on
I had for dinner
paper.
last night.
Yeah, but that seemed the logical thing, because that frees up the
Jennifer.
40,000.
Right, because, and I just want to explain that what you were, Mr. Stamps, what you were just saying, how you wanted to use some of that money for the equipment reserve, because in the CDs currently, the way it's broken out on the balance sheet is, you've got a certain amount to cover your percent reserves, which is required by y'all's regulations.
Our regulation.
And then some for the equipment reserve. If you're wanting to use that 140,000 to, for equipment purchase, then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to do the second option that I said and not get just a $50,000 CD. You're going to have to increase it to, what was that number at the time?
195.
190, because if you don't, you will not meet your reserve amounts. That's required in, I believe it's what, section 2.203 or 202 of the regulations?
Of regulations.
Yes, sir.
Of district
Yes, sir.
regulations.
So if you're only doing the 50,000 CD, if that's the only amount that you want to do right now, then basically what you're saying is that you want to do the first option that I said, where I reclassify that 140,000 to the reserve percentage. It leaves the equipment reserve at 100,000, which is required, and you're only taking 50,000 out of the money market into CDs, and then by doing that, we meet the regulations for both the equipment and the reserve percentage based on the 2024 budget. And then the equipment, you would just use out of the money market instead of that.
We could do that.
Okay.
Okay.
I just want to make sure I understand what direction you want to do so that I can accurately do the entries.
Well, we got a lot of reserves stashed here, there, and everywhere. But according to HICID regulation, this is not law, it's a regulation set by the board of HICID, okay? So, anyway.
Chairs, I didn't see the difference in the 50,000, but are we able to, we would have to go back out for a bid for 140,000?
No, the 50 is all we need.
The 50 is all that we're taking into a CD. The
Oh.
rest of it would be in the reserve, taking out of money market, put it in the reserve.
And you didn't find the,
I wasn't
It's-
able to pull it up
That's
because
all right.
it was in a different
that's a
file that I don't have.
But
the
you and
program
Larry
on.
looked at it. And I
have
think
the rates.
typically, the district manager has been making the decision anyway when the CDs go out for the bid. It hasn't been a board required decision to make.
Okay.
And the other thing.
Is that right?
You stated, doing a 6-month, even though it's a little higher, because that money is, that 50,000 is to cover the reserves, you might want to think about going out longer, because in 6 months, if you look at what the Fed's saying, they're saying about dropping. So in 6 months, you might not get the rate that, might be below the 12 months. So of an interest rate for a 12-month, you may want to consider that, because in 6 months, it might be better than what you get in 6 months.
That's what they were planning on based on the rate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's why you might
Yep.
want to consider doing the 12-month, because there is no need to pull that money out since it's being reserves for the 35% reserve required.
So, are we looking at 12 months, and I'd like to see the interest rate on 12 months?
It was 4.75, the other one was 5.
It was 4.75 for the, or 7.3 for the 12 months with equity, and 4.72 at CS Bank.
Good, thank you.
Any further discussion?
So, could you restate what we're going to do?
So what we're going to do is we'll go ahead and leave it at the 12-month, buy it for a 12-month period of time, anticipating that may, by the time it's all cut and dried, that it may be the better rate for us to take it rather than the 6 months and then renegotiating after 6 months if we needed to.
I would agree with
Okay.
that. I would too.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. All right, so we'll do the 12-month at CS Bank. Consider action to discuss the bid openings for the purchase or lease of golf equipment. We're not gonna lease anything. Like I said before, we have decided that we're going to go possibly with a new sprayer at $17,000+. It's a new sprayer on a used Cushman chassis. And both bids are apples to apples. I've got John Deere bidded a new sprayer and a used John Deere, whatever they call it, the equivalent. But the Kansas Turf was the lower of that bid. And I'm sorry, I don't have that in front of me. It was 17,000+.
Okay, and that's within your authority to approve.
Well, I guess, but I like
Well,
that
I mean,
authority to
I
the
understand
board.
telling everybody,
Yeah.
but, no, that's,
Larry, were those two bids, were they, how far apart were they?
About less than $500.
Okay, that's fine. Go with the lower one.
Well, I don't think we're there yet.
Well, the Cushman is, it is more than what we've got. In other words, it is what they're used to, it's what we have and had in the past, so of course, there's not that much difference between a John Deere and a Cushman, except the color of the paint. And but anyway, the Cushman is the normal equipment that we have used in the past.
I'd like to make a comment on golf course equipment, and it's not popular with the staff to turn down some things that they came up for, but I also thinking that we need to really look, social media's been full of complaints about the five of us and the district manager spending money like crazy and buying stuff that we can't afford and neglecting other things. I don't think that's true, but in this case, I think we've got to wait. There's wants and needs, as been mentioned at this table. You want something really badly. I like a new Corvette, but there's no way I'm going to be able to afford a new Corvette in my lifetime. That's a want, it's not a need for my family, a new Corvette. Some of these pieces of equipment are really nice to have, and it would probably result in a better product at the end, but we are a municipal golf course. We're not Pebble Beach, we're not Augusta. We've got to operate in the manner that we can afford. And so I appreciate the chair looking at that and district manager looking at it. And we came out with some equipment, but not everything that was asked for. And I think we're doing the best we can.
I have a comment. I think we ought to, on the golf course thing, I think we ought to look at appearance of that golf course more than just high-priced machinery, and that's why I would vote in favor of not doing it. We need to oversee our fairways, we need to get the water working on our fairways, and we need to make the appearance of our golf course much better on those fairways. So I think it's a good move, that we might have to spend some money on seed and fertilizer and getting our waterworks going correctly. I think that's more important by far than it is buying a lot of expensive machinery.
We looked into, many years ago, I looked into the possibility of overseeing the fairways and stuff at Holiday Island, particularly on the 18-hole course. And the reason being, it would be a good sales pitch. It would be a good sales item. And that's when I was working for McCulloch Corporation, and we were selling lots. The soil on the 18-hole golf course is so thin that it doesn't have much depth to it. and that if, anytime that you overseed over Bermuda, it takes away the nutrients out of the soil, and it takes away, it thins the soil. And it can actually put you backwards in summertime. Overseeding is beautiful, but it's a ryegrass that you would use to overseed it. And of course, it's beautiful because that's what the Augusta National is. All the fairways are nothing but ryegrass, and that's why they play on it 10 months out of the year only. It has to be closed the rest of the time because it goes into dormancy. In the hot summertime. But we have looked at it, and I think if I think we could ask an agronomist, maybe a consultant, to take a look at it and see what their recommendations are before we do it, because we don't want to damage the summer play to enhance the winter play. Because there's a lot more in the summertime. But anyway, to answer your question, I would like to
Larry,
do that.
I know that we can say all we want about the soil, but if we fertilize and we water, because when excuse me, whenever it rains, those fairways green up. We haven't been watering those fairways, and that's why we have no grass in those fairways. When you water and you fertilize, you're going to get grass. That's what it makes. We have so many bare spots that the appearance of our golf course is not very well on the fairways. So I think if we can work on that, we can get more people to come to our golf course, which will enhance our value of what we're making on that golf course.
I fully intend to do a bunch of reviews of all the departments. This is the beginning of my
Correct.
fourth
That was my suggestion, and
And-
I want you to know that.
But I will be looking at that, and I may be asking for an agronomist to come and assist in that respect. We've had all the marketing consultants and all this other kind of stuff, but we need, at one time I had an agronomist. I had a gentleman that was the first actually golf pro here, and then he became the superintendent of the golf course, Steve Talaferro. And Steve was an agronomist. And we had Dr. King out of the University of Arkansas also helping us out with things. And thank God we've always evaded Pythium blight and all other diseases. But anyway, I will be looking into that. Thank you.
Well, and I think that's the important reason why we approved the sprayer, is if we're going to be applying, we need to keep the golf course looking as good as we can. So I would be in favor of taking the lowest bid for the cart and the new spraying equipment.
Is there any other?
I'll second that.
Oh, that wasn't a that was just a comment.
Public comment?
Yes.
I noted it on the sign-in sheets. Dan Childers, 12 Country Club Drive, and just for the record, I'm not a golfer. However, you may recall that about a year ago, we had a study done on the golf course, and we need about twice as many people working on the golf course as we have. We have a minimal staff. And I appreciate the board looking at the request that Tyler made for the golf course. To my knowledge, it's the first request for equipment that he's made, and doing their best to fulfill that. One reason that I'm concerned about it is the amenities for Holiday Island are the only thing that sell this community. We don't have jobs for people to go to. We don't have major medical care for people to live here because of. We don't have great shopping. The only thing that sells this community is the amenities. It's the only thing that keeps our market value of our prices, of our houses up. So I think we need to do whatever we can. I know it's not a popular thing on social media, but I think we need to do whatever we can afford to maintain and improve our amenities as much as possible. And I appreciate the board looking at Tyler's request and doing the best that we can. It's a tight job market out there. People don't have to necessarily work at Holiday Island. And if they don't feel supported by the board in the needs that they have to accomplish their jobs, they're not gonna stay with us. So thank you for looking at those requests.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for the, well, it's within my approval, but I would like for the board to approve it, the bid opening for the golf equipment. Do I have a motion to approve that?
I move that we accept the bid for the lower price of the spraying equipment and the new car.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I think we have discussed it. Is there any further action? Would you like to, let's vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passed. Then we have the resolution 24-R1 to designate Larry Stamps as trustee of the HICID Deferred Compensation Trust Plan. It requires a signature, and what we're doing is just making it where I can sign for it.
We have a
As
copy
it-
of the resolution. Okay, that's fine, as long as you've got one.
I move approval of that item.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, consideration and action of attorney services. Let me explain to you the best I possibly can on what's taking place here. There was, as everybody knows, there was a suit publicized in the local paper, and it alleges all kinds of things that I fail to comprehend how they can come up with that, because we dedicate some roads over to the city, and so therefore that took away from the AOBs. Well, what about the things that we do, like building a new rec center? That adds to the AOBs. Anyway, let's to the attorney situation. That's enough of that. But Tim Hutchison was the attorney for David Biscoff and others in a similar lawsuit that was filed years ago. And he was their attorney. And Matt Bishop, was our attorney. Well, about 2.5, 3 years ago, they decided that, the board decided that we should hire Tim Hutchison as the attorney. I wondered myself at that point in time if that was not a conflict of interest. And I was told by a gentleman that I consider probably one of the smartest attorney I've ever known in my life. As a matter of fact, he helped get us out of a 4-year attempt at a class action suit. And I asked him about it. He said it is not a conflict of interest. However, there will be a problem with him representing you in court. Well, it came down to that, and Tim Hutchison filed a motion to dismiss, he did not file, he prepared the motion for dismissal of that suit that is currently before the courts. And after consideration and talking with his fellow attorneys, they decided that it would be best if he passed off representing us, if he recused himself. And so he talked with Matt Bishop, and Matt Bishop did in fact file that motion for dismissal. It has been filed, and we have a copy of it in the office here that he filed. And so at that point in time, or at this point in time, in this particular instance, Matt Bishop is the attorney that's representing us. Do I have any questions that I probably can't answer?
Well, Mr. Chair, I think it's a good idea, and I appreciate what you've done with it. I read the response and the filing, and those of you who don't have it, we can get it to you. But Tom Kiklak was also an attorney for that lawsuit about 10 years ago. And they ask for everybody to be recused. I don't know how you can fight a lawsuit if you don't have any attorneys for yourself, but at any rate, I think that's a good move, and I think we'll be well served by Matt Bishop.
I have not met him. I've only had conversation with him as also with Tim Hutchinson. But I'm impressed with Mr. Bishop.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So this consideration and action is to add Matt Bishop as an additional attorney of
Correct.
record for HICID?
Yes,
Is that,
that is correct.
okay.
And
And leave our relationship with RMP alone because they're doing the foreclosures and all that kind of thing?
yeah, we're not going to do anything with that.
Okay.
And I would, to clarify this, it's my understanding that Matt Bishop will represent us only in this action for dismissal. Only. And they agreed upon the current attorney fees that would have been the same as what Tim Hutchinson would have charged us if he were the attorney carrying it out. Yes, ma'am.
So I'm trying to follow along just like you are. So Tim Hutchinson, who's March 29th, is still technically HICID's attorney.
And he is technically our attorney other than in this particular action.
Okay, so again, Tim Hutchinson is still HICID's attorney.
Yes, ma'am. At this point in time.
And then Matt Bishop, who I know him too, followed along with what you were saying, has answered that lawsuit that was filed representing HICID.
Yes, ma'am. That's correct.
He's already filed.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. In my office, and then put a sign over
Well,
here.
you think I would too.
So, for clarity, and I do know who Matt Bishop is, so
Uh-huh.
not a problem. But he has, from what you've already stated, he has already filed representing HICID.
He filed the motion for dismissal. Yes, ma'am.
Filed a motion for dismissal.
Yes, ma'am.
And I walk out there and FOI this, is it gonna tell me how much we paid him? I mean, I know Hutchinson charges $250 a quarter hour. I have his contract too. This is part of what I do.
I assume that what I was told,
Okay,
that the fees would be the same.
all right.
There would be no in other words, there would be no additional fees. We're not paying both of them at the same time.
Well, in a way you are, because Hutchinson's contract is you pay him $1,000 a month regardless of whatever he does.
Honestly,
Well,
I
it's in your files.
okay,
have a
I will
copy.
look at that and see, yeah, but if that's our contract, and that, yes, that's what we have to pay, because it's contractual.
Well, then I guess in a kindly manner, I will suggest to you that you find that you do have a copy of Hutchinson's contract,
Sure we do.
and it does expire March 29th, 2024.
Okay.
And he can break it, and so can you,
Sure.
as the way it's written. You just, or is it, he's been filing and you owe him for that.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're
Larry,
done.
I got one comment before we
Okay.
leave this item. I copied the whole lawsuit, sent it to my daughter, she's an attorney. she came back with the same prognosis kind of as you did, and she asked me about these attorneys, and she did think that we would have to have somebody else, when, after I saw the file in court, she said we would have to have a different attorney. He could not do that. So I agree that I think you made the right decision.
Thank you. Okay, we're down
So
to,
do we need to vote on
where we're gonna consider it. Yes, I guess we do.
that?
I hear a motion. I guess we do.
I move that we add Matt Bishop to our attorneys.
Do I hear a second? Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Commissioners' comments. I have a comment.
We got Steve.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we will take public comments before commissioner comments.
Up this morning to make a friend. Not against my 3 minutes, but happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
And there's like several items on here. Do I get 3 minutes on each one of them? Briefly, the audit report, nobody in this room understands a doggone thing about it, except it was a clean audit. At the last meeting, when y'all discussed the tardiness of that report, some of you were kind of up in arms about the audit firm. Maybe we need, these guys have been doing it for 40 years. And every year I've lived here, it's been late, and there's been a different set of excuses. Maybe it's time to look for a different auditing firm. It's not unusual at all for corporations to change auditing firms ever so often, just to get a fresh set of eyes on everything, so people don't get complacent, and people don't get too comfortable with each other. We don't want you comfortable with the auditing firm. So maybe that's something, y'all kind of raised that issue up, but when the guy's standing here in front of you, we all just one big happy family. Some of those tough questions need to be asked. So just something for you to think
Steve,
about.
I'd like to comment on that. In getting a new auditing company, which right now we're paying the one we're using, to date, about $19,000 for this audit. It's my understanding if we get a new auditing company, that number would probably double. A new audit would probably cost us close to $40,000 because they have no record and no history, so they have to start at square one. So I don't know that it's worth $20,000 more to have a different auditing company to come out with the same results.
So I guess just like the cemetery, we just do it forever with the same, that's
Well,
a weak excuse.
Another thing too, this is governmental accounting or enterprise accounting. There's lots of auditors out there that audit companies, construction companies and this kind of stuff. But there may be a limit on how many that really
It was
get
just
into
a
the enterprise.
recommendation. Put it out there for bids, just like you do other things.
Yeah.
Okay? It's
we
just
would-
a thought, 40 years with the same firm.
We would have to do it that
Probably
way.
not good business.
Okay.
The CD bids, listen, on this golf course equipment, and I'm not anti-golf, I have to disagree with Ms. Childers. People don't move here for the amenities. If they did, they'd be using them, okay? If that's what brought people here, I'm looking for them, because I buy a pool membership for my family every year. We use the pool constantly, and it ain't never overcrowded, okay? I'm sorry, compared to how many people live here. Do you even know how many people buy annual memberships to the pool? Do you know how many bought annual golf memberships this year?
I think we're gonna be taking a look at that. I've got some proposals coming that,
Here's a question I got, because I know my time's limited. I guess I should have got up after each one, but I didn't do it.
that's all right.
There was a loan application for $330,000 for the budget. Just hold on a minute, Mr. Larry, hold on.
Okay.
And you made the statement on social media as well as here that the BOC did not approve a loan application. I'm kind of curious as to who did that. And I understand we're not going to do the loan, But I'm kind of curious as to who applied for the loan to begin with, if the BOC didn't approve it. And here's my reasoning behind that. And before every board meeting, we hear BOC is not responsible for the day-to-day operations of the district. That belongs to the district manager, okay? I have to disagree. You are responsible. You're responsible for everything that takes place in every department of HICID. You can delegate authority. You cannot delegate your responsibility. Period. Because the people voted you guys in to look after our money and our infrastructure and our amenities and to make good use of those things. It doesn't mean you just give somebody carte blanche and you get to throw your hands up and say, huh, well, that's on the district manager. Somebody had to apply for a $330,000 loan. So, who did that? And are they still here, or are they quickly headed for the door? Who applied for a loan without your approval?
I think, Steve, it was Mr. Presley, and it came about because when we had the two gentlemen in black shirts here, they came up with a cost of that equipment, and it included quite a high interest rate. And I think Mr. Stamps, when he was a member down at the end of the table, brought up that we could probably do better. I'm not sure, I'm not blaming you or giving you credit, Larry, but we questioned the amount of interest on that $330,000. And I think Mr. Presley then did what he thought he should do. He's not here, so I can't ask him, and went out for a bid, and the 5 banks or 4 banks came back, and now we're not going to do it, at least all of that equipment. So their interest rate was quite high. I think you figured it out at the table, what it might have been on a complete project.
As a matter of fact, I did, and they were charging, it was a lease, and they were charging us $77,000 in interest, and at the end of the lease, they took the equipment. That didn't make good sense to me then, and it doesn't now.
Well, I agree.
so
I'm just curious about, somebody had to fill out a loan application. And if they did it without the board approval, to me, that's a little bit of a loose ship.
Well, more than likely, it was a fishing epidemic going for. Anyway, Mr. Presley probably did that to look for an alternative to what was being presented by Kansas Turf.
The last thing I'm gonna talk about
Well,
is
may I
this.
speak to that, please?
Yes.
I was chair at the time, and the discussion was to enter the lease to purchase the equipment. The conversation turned to, are we better off buying it outright? And that was when Mr. Presley said he would get bids to purchase the equipment outright. We never approved the lease or the acquisition of the equipment. That was never approved. This was an alternate method to finance it, should we choose to go ahead with the acquisition. But the board was involved in instructing Mr. Presley to go to the banks to obtain the bids.
The last thing, the equipment purchase that you guys have approved for $17,000. You know, I'm sitting here looking at your budget, and I know y'all are gonna amend it because right now it shows you 1.7 in the hole. Is that what red means?
Yes.
Red means in the hole?
In brackets, yes.
Okay, we got a restaurant that's gonna be in the red by how much this year, do you know? It's like 150. The golf operation in the red by 700. And I don't mind you buying the equipment. I don't want the golf course to go away. I get crap from both ends because I don't want the amenities to go away. I think we overdid it on the pool palace, but that's water under the bridge. I don't want golf courses to go away. I'll hike them. I don't play golf, but my grandson does, and my brother-in-law does, and when they come to visit, I take them to the golf course. So I don't want it to go away. But we're not doing anything to increase revenue. We're not focusing on the management of these operations and what we need to do to make more money. And then you wind up with the boneheads on social media that want to throw the baby out with the bathwater because nobody's listening. Okay? And they see infrastructure that we got problems with. They see all these other things, and we're sitting here throwing $800,000, $900,000 of their money, a quarter of a budget almost, into a golf course. Every golf course that's municipal is subsidized by tax dollars. I'm sure they didn't complain at city council meetings in the towns they used to live in. We're different for some reason. But we need to focus on getting the income and the revenue up and these amenities. But nobody wants to ask those hard questions. Maybe it's time to say, look, we're cutting your budget because you guys don't have this budget under control. We don't need to operate in the red. If you can't afford it, you cut it, and you task those managers with increasing revenue to make up for it. And if they can't do it, then maybe it's time to look for somebody that can. One golf player on social media, this is my last point, I'll shut up, made the point, said, how about you get the golf course people to have a little fundraiser? You make the fire department do it. Don't you? Fire department needs this, needs that. I know you all bought a bunch of trucks. You had to buy a bunch of hose because of past neglect. Those trucks didn't go bad in 2 years, 3 years. Okay? We'll leave that rock covered up. You make, the fire department has an auxiliary. They have fundraisers so that they can buy things. They get donations from the city to buy radios for 50 grand, which they need. Why don't you make them do something like that? How about the people that use it come together and do something to increase revenue or to at least help with some of these items instead of just writing these blank checks?
For the record, there is a Himga Hilga golf tournament every year, has been for the past 2 or 3 years. I think maybe this is the third year. And other than expenses, that money goes to golf operations. So yes, there are fundraisers for golf
They need
operations.
some more.
Well, let me do this. Right now, I fully intend to take a look at what's going on and what we can do to increase the usage of the rec center, increase the usage of the golf courses. And I've had minor discussions due to the weather, and due to this is the beginning of my 4th week. We're going to take a long, hard look at what's going on. I want to promote the golf course. I've got several ideas of things that we can do to enhance things and to enhance the services and get out of this mode that we do it all. Take a look at some better ways of doing things, and stay tuned. It will happen. Any further commissioners' comments?
Yes, I have a comment. I think one of the major things I see, in respect to what you said, I think we have talked somewhat about it. Hours of the clubhouse open longer. We need to maybe use the ballroom a little more. Maybe we ought to rent that out considerably more every weekend. If our current, and maybe we ought to lease the restaurant out. We need to take a look at that. I think, but the key is to the golf course is a big thing is appearance. And we got to get the appearance. Our greens are fine. Our fairways are not fine. Even in the summer, they're not. So I think we have to work on those kind of things. But as far as the clubhouse, I think those are the things we need to do, because I had a guy tell me, my wife was at the sale, he said to my wife, he said, that clubhouse at the ballroom, if you go to Eureka, you are 8 months to 9 months out to get a wedding. And he said, why don't you guys advertise that thing and get more people to use that ballroom all the time? Well, I think that's one of the things that we're looking at. I think we need to maybe look at the leasing, but certainly I've sat there in the afternoons after we got done golfing, and I've seen people come and it's 4 o'clock and they lock the door And I've seen one week, I know we lost $2,200 just in people that came there that would have raised green fees in 1 week. And I can attest that there's 4 or 5 guys sitting there, and if you want names, I can give you the names. So we do need to address those things, but we gotta be open more hours there, and we gotta be more, and if the restaurant isn't being subsidized, it's not fair to the other restaurants in town either. So we gotta get our things together and make sure that our restaurant is not getting subsidized, that either it's gonna make it or break it. I think that's one of the big things that's gotta happen. So those are the things I think we're gonna work on, because I golf, and that was one of the major reasons why I decided to get on this board, was to help that event happen. Okay? Thank you, Larry.
Any further comments?
Yeah. Steve, I have a comment in line with what you brought up, and I'd like to mention that I would like to have more workshops every month, and we'll get into these kinds of things. Everybody get up to the microphone, tell us what your ideas are, we can go back and forth, but we don't make a decision. We used to have those the third Monday of every month, and then the fourth Monday was the actual meeting, and we go through the meeting just real quick, because all of those things have been decided, all the bids have been opened beforehand. One of the things for February is the $1 million well 5. I've talked to some people that are very familiar with construction, and they said, what are you talking about? $1 million for that building, and they're not looking at well 5? What are you doing? Why are you letting this happen? So I would like to get people that know what they're doing, and I know several of them, and they're going to give us an advice, and we'll ask our engineer why it's costing $1 million to do this thing. That's just one item. And I'm not saying that I know how to do it, but I know people that know how to do it. And we just don't have the money to do that. And if we have to take a loan, then we've got a UV system. That went from $750 to $1 million, just like that. Why? And I read an article in the Eureka Springs paper last week that they're doing $6 million worth of work to their sewer plant. And they've kicked the can down the road a lot. And they've got McClellan Engineers, I think it is, and they've got 4 firms that they've worked with. Four firms that are going to bid on that job, $6 million. We did our sewer plant expansion 2006 when we came here, and it was $6.5 million. And I think we need to really go out and be more aggressive and assertive on getting people to come here and spend our money with people that know what they're doing and want to save us money and do a good job for a fair price.
You people worry me.
What's that?
You worry me. It is not 1.5 million for a well house, for the house. It's 1.5 million for all of the water issue of well number 5.
The building is not going to be
It's
$1
not
million.
about just the building.
I know it's not.
Well, then why
I know
did
it's
you why did you
Because a
just
lot of
express
it,
it
sure,
that
a
way?
lot of it was the building itself, and we can discuss that sometime.
Okay, now,
All right, that's
That's
all.
what you
let me get in control here. First of all, that is to be determined. We're going to be looking at it really hard and sitting down and discussing with the engineers exactly what's going on. It's not cut and dry that we're going to do that. I think there's different ways to do it, but we're going to get some expert opinions. As far as the amenities, the leasing and the golf courses, I've already discussed with Lauren the possibilities of moving the pro shop from the restaurant area to the pro shop and keeping the pro shop open. That has been done because of personnel issues and trying to keep the costs down. Yeah, we're going to have an attendant in the pro shop that maybe he comes on at a certain point. We may have to have 2 of them to have it open to the public. The restaurant, we've discussed that, that's up there. We've got lots of things to discuss, and that's why we've got, this board has got to start having work sessions. We've got to have those so that we can get something positive done. Doing it in a formal meeting, we need a relaxed meeting. I've also been requested by Mayor Dan Tees to form a committee, and he and I would act as kind of the coordinators of that, to come up with how we can merge responsibilities of the city with responsibilities of the district. We're all in this together. We've got lots of work to do. Right now, I've got 2 applications for my replacement, and I welcome them. Come on, I can go back to my self-storage unit and read John Grisham.
I like that plan.
It is totally okay with me. But anyway, bear with us. Rome wasn't formed in a day. And I know, and it wasn't done in 50 years. But we're going to get there. And we've got some guidance. And I promise you, I will do my dead level best to make it a different place than what you've been used to.
May I say one more thing?
Yes, ma'am.
I want to remind everyone that we have our designated restricted fund, $700,000 plus that has been set aside and dedicated to well number 5. We opted in last year to cash fund, and we have 3/4 of what it's going to cost us to do that. So that's one item. The other item I would suggest is talking about the deficit in our budget. And I joked about this at a couple of meetings. There isn't a line item on the budget that says transfer from the money market account. And we have, what, $2.9 million unencumbered in the money market fund?
It's
Less than that, 1.8?
I'll get you a better figure when I finish.
It's well over $1 million.
It's a little over $1 million.
That has been sitting there and building up over a number of years. So it's not like we can't cover the budget deficit.
I would ask the commissioners to take a look at the February calendar and come up with a date that we can have a work session. And then schedule our regular meeting would be on the 25th.
I was thinking, Mr. Sheriff.
26th.
The day
Oh,
after,
26th, not Sunday. Excuse me.
The day after President's Day, and a Tuesday, doesn't mean we can't have it on any other day than Monday. But is President's Day the 15th?
It's the 15th.
It's the 19th.
When's our regular meeting scheduled for the 4th Monday?
The 26th. I would,
Or we could have it earlier.
let's have it earlier. Let's have it earlier. Work sessions usually come up with something to do. And let's get some time to get something done. 12th, 12th would be a good day because the 14th's out, because I get this removed from my head.
Is that on a Monday?
That is a Monday.
That'd be fine with me, and I think, it would be helpful to Randy and I, because, we really, we can't discuss much together other than a public meeting, so at least we can learn a little bit more of the history here, what's going on. So these workshops are really gonna be important to us.
They are, and
not only to us, but you too, all
Of
the other
course.
people. But we can get things, ideas, like, I drew up a plan already for this new, and I'm not an engineer, but I did draw up kind of a sketch of what I thought this building ought to look like, and about 1/2 the size, probably for a 1/10 of the price. And, those are the things we need to look at.
so we're gonna go ahead and schedule the work session for the 12th. That agreeable with
It's fine
everyone?
with me.
And then the regular session, a regular monthly meeting will be on the 26th. Okay, all in favor of that? Is that agreeable?
It's agreeable
Okay.
with me.
All right.
And then we're talking about on the 15th, what did you say?
The
The
12th.
12th.
The 12th. Okay, 12th.
12th is Monday.
12th and the 26th, that's great with me.
I
Okay,
move that we adjourn.
here a second.
I'll second it. Go ahead.
All in favor?
Aye.
It passed. Thank you all very much for coming.